LifeClub with Tashima Jones, the podcast, brought to you by Tashima Jones Media. Keep in mind that this content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Welcome to another session of LifeClub with me, Tashima Jones. Today, we are speaking about processing and discovering your personal way of processing. Oftentimes, emotions arise faster than we may have time to actually consider them. In order to make sound decisions or even enjoy the moment, it's vital to consider just how we process information and experiences. Let's dive right into this episode of Life Club. As always, when we know the definition of a thing, we are better equipped to using it properly. We have one word for today, and that is processing. Processing, when it comes to thoughts and emotions, can be seen as the act of interpreting information with the goal of coming to a place of understanding or arriving at a decision about a matter. It is essentially making sense of something. Now, processing information pertaining to a person's thoughts, emotions, and behavior is a life skill. We are taught how to process when it comes to math problems and critical thinking when it comes to finding solutions in work environments. But how much more vital is learning how to process your thoughts and emotions? It is safe to say each of us has a system of processing, even if it's not the healthiest. Once we discover how we process, we are in a better position to improve upon that system. So, what does processing look like in real time? Per this episode's definition, to process is the act of interpreting information in order to make sense of it or to make a decision. For example, someone finds themselves in the supermarket looking for a specific ingredient. They go to the market and are unable to find the ingredient. At this point, they have a few options. They can ask for help. They can go to another market. They can find an alternative ingredient. They can change the recipe, or they can go home and prepare a meal with the current ingredients they have. Processing is what happens when one gains information about a subject, decides how to perceive this information, and arrives at a conclusion. Many people are faced with other decisions, like responding to the family group chat, parents and children in different age ranges, the best way to navigate a romantic relationship, and the list goes on. The decisions we make on a daily basis require processing, and not being aware of how you process or the importance of processing overall can lead to becoming overwhelmed, avoidant behavior, procrastination, or making rash decisions. Understanding your own style of processing grants the ability to not only be more intentional, but it also reveals what you need to get to a place of clarity. This is helpful for both you and for those around you. Much frustration can occur not because you don't know what to do, but because you haven't given yourself the time or what's needed to discover the answer. If you tend to process inwardly, you know that trying to solve an issue in the heat of the moment in conversation is probably not the best solution. Perhaps you may need time in silence to journal instead. Many arguments and misunderstandings happen because the parties involved are unaware of how they themselves and their loved ones or associates process. You may have one person who functions better with talking through things, while the other person needs time to sort through their thoughts in solitude. Each party may have the same ultimate goal or desire, but the way in which they come to that conclusion may look different. A few keys to consider when discovering or enhancing how you process are time frame and urgency, what's actually important, the filter you're looking through, and healthy boundaries. So, time frame and urgency. Contrary to popular belief, not everything is an urgent matter. Everything doesn't need an immediate response. Too often, many make decisions or draw conclusions sooner than necessary. Discovering the time frame of a thing is vital, and so is patience. When you set time aside to truly consider an emotion, thought, or event, you are able to come to a sincere conclusion versus one that is birthed out of anger, ego, or even too much excitement. Now for filters. What filters do you have on? Are they rooted in fear or coming from a place of hope? Fear has a way of distorting your view. It can lead to decisions and conclusions that keep one stagnant. Hope is usually associated with calm and creates a space for healthier perception and decision making. Up next, we have what's actually important. Taking time to process can reveal what's at the center of a situation or a thought, emotion, or behavior. Considering the goal, the decision, or the truth of a matter tends to help resolve conflict, whether it's inner conflict or conflict in relationships. Now we have boundaries. Sharing boundaries while respecting other people's boundaries is vital. With that being said, remember not to weaponize boundaries. If you need a break to consider a matter, don't use it as an excuse to mishandle or not face the matter. There is a huge difference. And with that being said, be mindful of how you handle other people's boundaries as well. And last but not least, processing joy. This may not be talked about much, but processing doesn't only pertain to friction. Processing happiness, peace, and joy is also a thing. It opens up space to actually sit in those desirable thoughts and feelings and experiences. And it leads to gratitude and so much more goodness. Here is your life work. Based on this session, set aside at least 10 minutes to complete and reflect on the following. Consider how you process. Does your way of coming to a conclusion change often? If so, what tends to work best? In other words, which way of processing creates less stress and leads to healthier outcomes? Do you consider time frame and what's important while processing? Do you approach most matters with a sense of urgency, even if they aren't urgent? What filter do you process experiences, emotions, and thoughts through? Is it a filter of hope or is it a filter of fear? Are you aware of your personal boundaries? Are you capable of sharing those boundaries with others? And do you respect the boundaries of others? And how do you process joy? Is there a fear of experiencing it, or are you able to sit in it with gratitude? Be sure to journal your experience. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you were here with me, and for that, I am truly grateful. Be sure to share and subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you are tuning in from, and find me on YouTube at Tashima Jones Media for our 1-minute meditations and other video content. You're also invited to visit tashimajones.com for life coaching sessions, books, articles, courses, and free downloads. Until next time, remember your greatness. Talk soon.